we've been absorbing the 2026 regulations, haven't we, Tommy? And how there's a lot of uproar about the cars being slower. There's talk of it 30% less downforce and cars more difficult to drive. And I think we both sit on the fact that this is a good thing, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I've just read basically something about the fact that the F1 teams are going to hold a meeting because they're worried about the 2026 rule, and one of those is the fact that they believe that it's going to be hardly that much quicker than F2. And my argument for that is F2 is really, really, really good, and they have really, really good racing. So give me better racing rather than, a fastest lap, because at the end of the day, when we look back on a season, we remember good racing and not what their lap times were.
Now, I will say I don't want to watch Formula 1 be the speed of Formula 2. I do want Formula 1 to be quicker, and we know deep down that, of course, the F1 cars are going to be quicker than F2. Let's not be silly here. So you were telling me something very, very interesting, Tommy, and I need you to pop off. I need you to let it go like you just did before we started recording, okay? Come on, give me some big Tommy vibes here.
Right, so, yeah, my argument on that is the fact that you look back at these seasons gone by and moments from history, and you don't really care about the lap times, for example. And I was looking at the 1988 Japanese Grand Prix, which you can watch some onboard footage of Ayrton Senna in that race, and legendary car, he's fighting the wheel. There's one from that kind of era of Monaco as well. It gets shown all the time of like, wow, look at this. This is like Formula 1 at its best. And my word, are the cars a hell of a lot slower. So Ayrton Senna's fastest lap in that race in 1988 was a 1:46.3. Yeah.
Max Verstappen's 2023 pole position was a 1 minute 28.877. The fastest race lap record was back in 2019 by Hamilton, and it's a 1 minute 30.9. So if we're going race to race, that is 15 to 16 seconds quicker, or as you're saying, Senna going slower, and yet everybody remembers the action, the wrestling of the cars, the driver's skill on show, not the fact that, the engineering of the cars are really lovely now.
Yes. We don't want to watch them on rails, and you can argue that ever since they have kind of hunted for these ultimate lap times, has it got better? I don't think so. We had Lewis Hamilton did the quickest ever average speed lap, I think it was at Monza, wasn't it, in 2020. And the only thing that people will say about 2020 really was, wow, that Mercedes was dominant and absolutely miles ahead of everyone. I really don't think it is the biggest issue that they seem to make it out that they should be hunting lap times, because even if they're going 10 seconds a lap slower, you'll look at a Formula 1 car and go, damn, that looks quick, especially if they're fighting it as well.
Now, I do understand the argument of the engineering side and Formula 1 being the pinnacle, and I do want to see cars going fast. But I think there's a balance to be struck here where taking 5 seconds a lap off of the cars to make them still just as fast in a straight line, a bit more difficult through the corners, that is, I think, the recipe for a better watch, even if someone's winning by 10 seconds, just to see them working at the wheel. And when you ride with the race leader, they are actually doing something rather than just turning very metronomically and just, it's so easy. And everyone remembers as well the changeable conditions. When everyone is struggling, that's the most fun races we see. So why is this a massive uproar, such a negative thing, if the cars are a bit slower and more difficult to drive?
Exactly. We've always enjoyed those wet races where the drivers are fighting it. We mentioned that, rain is the great leveler and you see more passing and things. So the idea is right there. Less downforce, less grip, less speed, and you
more
get
fun.
More fun. Exactly. We want fun, not lap times, because at the end of the day, when you get to the end of a season, your memories of it are what actually happened between the drivers and the action and how the championship unfolded and all the great racing. You don't look back on a season and go, well, I'm so glad we had 133s and not 143s around that track.
Yeah. Now, we're not suggesting that it should be a spec series. We are just saying, let's make it a bit more difficult to drive, because of course there are going to be real world things that they want to develop the engines and the electrical side.
And they will always develop things to make them quicker as well.
Yeah.
The examples that come to mind are, there was that year where they took all the bits off the front wing and it was like, oh, they're going to be a lot slower, and they found the lap time. They do all this where they worry about the cars being a lot slower. They find the lap time. They always do. They do regulations. They change things, and it goes, oh well, the lap times are expected to be 3 or 4 seconds slower this year, and they always end up either about the same or even quicker because they find downforce in different ways, and they will always do that. So give them less, and then they'll find it anyway, and then they're not absolute rocket ships on Scalextrics, and it would be better for it.
F1 will be better slower. You heard it here first.